6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Would everyone please stand and join us for the flag salute? Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thanks for joining us, everyone. Just before we get going here, I'd like to pass on our condolences to the family of Angie Eck, who was a staff member at Catalino, passed a couple weeks ago, and also to the staff there at Catalino. I know she'll be greatly missed.
She also taught at Zone.
She did. Yeah. Okay, so we'll move on with the approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion?
I move to approve the regular meeting of October 22nd, 2019.
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, move on to the agenda and consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
And the agenda.
And the agenda, sorry.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, this is a roll call.
Michelle?
Aye.
Julio?
Aye.
Jamie?
Aye.
Andy?
Aye.
And I'm aye.
Okay, we'll move on to D1, and we have a presentation from CEF with the fundraising that they did at the Copacabana. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you. So we had a great Copacabana record setter for us again this year. Our community support is tremendous. We had a great time. It was great to see so many of you out there. And we have a check for you guys for $60,313 to support the elementary arts program once again.
Woo.
Can we do a picture?
Yes.
Yes.
Should we come down there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you guys very much. Yeah.
All right.
We have another donation.
Oh, we do?
Barry's here.
Oh, Barry's here. Okay. Thanks, you guys. It's always great to see the support that CEF always gives in the community through CEF provides for the district, and that event is so fulfilling, especially now that it's at the high school, and we can see, everyone can see all the improvements that are going on and the programs that are happening, and it's fantastic. So thanks for putting on such a great event.
It's really fun.
G.
Okay.
Not here yet. So not here yet.
Not here?
No.
Okay.
Just in a few minutes.
In a few minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Ariana's not here.
She said she's coming.
Okay. Well, we'll move on and then come back to her when she shows up. So we'll move on to D3 recognitions. And Diana?
Yes, thank you. So I'll begin with the high school, and on behalf of Principal Corneo, he'd like to recognize Allison Cole, one of our special education faculty members, for her compassionate and energetic approach to the teaching profession. Her ability to connect with students and seek new ways to engage them is admirable. For Rincon, Principal Corneo would like to recognize Elsia Tinoco. She's an instructional assistant, for encouraging and supporting all of the students. On behalf of the middle school, Principal O'Shea would like to recognize Deb Leiter. She's a science teacher and on-your-own teacher for her efforts in having CMS shine at the Avocado Festival, her work to engage 8th grade science students, her efforts in coordinating the UCSB Fuse Nights, and her special connections with all students. And then on behalf of Catalino and Family School, Principal Pursoon would like to recognize bus drivers Jose Ochoa and Tammy Moreno. Each morning and afternoon, they greet our students by name. They know the kids' favorite teams or cartoon TV character, and they create relationships with all the students that ride the bus. It's so important for our students to have a warm welcome and goodbye each and every day. Both Jose and Tammy make sure this happens, and we are so grateful for them. On behalf of Aliso, Principal Fox would like to recognize Noe Gomez, who is our CHS Science and Agricultural teacher, and his CHS students for hosting all the TK and Kinder students at this year's Pumpkin Patch. The TK and K students loved picking out their own pumpkins and interacting with the high school students. The elementary teachers raved about how prepared and organized the high school students were and how welcoming they were to the little ones. The Aliso team really appreciates the opportunity to visit the high school, and they love the interactions between the students. And then on behalf of Summerlin, Principal Fox would like to recognize Shannon Colson, who teaches 2nd and 3rd grade, for facilitating the student council. Over the past 2 weeks, 19 out of 57 students campaigned to be part of the student council, making posters and delivering speeches while sharing their platform. This week, all students through K-5 grade participated in elections by voting for their candidate. Dr. Colson made this a school-wide event, finding multiple ways to have all students participate. And congratulations to Jamie Bray's son, who is now the treasurer of the Student Council. A chip off the block.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to your report.
Okay, so I would like to continue with appreciation. I would like to recognize High School Athletic Director Pat Cooney, the CHS boosters, the coaches, and all the student athletes for a terrific fall season of high school athletics. And congratulations to the high school tennis coach, Charles Bryant, for his nomination for Coach of the Year. In addition, School Psychology Awareness Week is November 11th through the 15th, and we'd like to celebrate our school psychologists, Ben Cornell at the high school in Rincon, Jenny Aldridge at Aliso and Summerlin, Katie Lewis at Catalino and the Family School, Becky Norton at the middle school, and Amy Gillespie at the preschool. And we commend them for the difference they make in the lives of our students, families, and school mental health teams. More congratulations. We congratulate Aliso. Aliso has qualified for the California Distinguished School Awards for 2020 in Category 1, Closing the Achievement Gap. Aliso is one of 5 schools in Santa Barbara County selected to apply for this prestigious award. A component of the California School Recognition Program, the California Distinguished Schools was on a 3-year pause between 2015 and 17 while California transitioned to its new assessment and accountability system. You'll recall that in 2014, the last year it was in place, both the Family School and Summerlin were awarded the California Distinguished School Award. Eligible schools are required to submit a completed application by December 6, 2019, in order to be recognized for the award at the ceremony at the Disneyland Hotel in Anaheim in February 2020. So we're proud of Aliso staff and Dr. Fox. The last item that I wanted to share with you is parent involvement. Parent participation in their child's education is critical to academic achievement, and we are pleased with the high parent attendance rates for parent conferences at the elementary school this past week. Elementary teachers carefully prepared to help parents understand student grade level progress and to provide home support activities to reinforce reading and math skills. We know that all students should be reading a minimum of 30 minutes per night, and in the primary grades, practicing their math facts to increase automaticity and fluency. Students need to leave elementary school reading at grade level and mastering math and fact fluency to be successful in middle and high school. And we depend on parents to make reading and practicing math facts priorities in their homes. Additionally, during this past month, each school provided a variety of opportunities for parent participation. Catalino and the Family School, they are facilitating a math family night tonight, and they're welcoming the students and their families to work together in grade level groups to solve math challenges and play math games. CMS students and parents participated in the Family Ultimate Science Exploration, or FUSE Night. Sponsored by UCSB, students and their families rotated in 30-minute sessions through 3 different science activities related to physics, chemistry, and biology. UCSB science and engineering students, both undergraduate and graduate, along with the CB Santa Barbara City College students, led hands-on activities such as chemistry in the bag, electric magnet motor, and GAC and the non-Newtonian fluid. This week, also, AHA parent group staff led CUSD parents in a discussion on how cell phone usage and social media affects our students. Helpful information was provided on how to have skillful conversations and set boundaries around digital responsibility and cell phone usage. Summerlin parents collaborated with Summerlin Beautiful Association to display those beautiful Summerlin school flags, and they also provided fun fall activities during the Fall Festival. Summerlin parents support the school library by checking out and reshelving books. Aliso parents participated in ELAC this month and celebrated Halloween with Dia de los Muertos and the Trunk or Treat events. CHS parents were busy this month chaperoning student events, cheering for fall sports teams, fundraising for both boosters and FFA, and participating in ELAC. District-wide parents participated in our regular school site council and parent district advisory committee meetings. We are grateful that more than 90% of our parents reported that they participate in school meetings and events, and we encourage all parents to participate in their child's education. The last item is Measure U, and we are pleased to continue to announce that construction on Phase 2 of Canalino modernization is going well on Wing 1. This wing houses the current classrooms 26, 27, 28, and 29. As of today, the project is 70% complete, which means that those classrooms will be ready for students and teachers in January. At that time, Phase 3 will start, and we will move the students in those classrooms from Wing 4. They will be housed in portable classrooms during construction. We're also planning for the 2020 modernization projects at both Aliso and the high school. And similar to last summer, summer 22, they will be heavily construction zones at both Aliso and the high school, because the Aliso project is very complicated and it will need to be completed. It will start the day after school gets out, and it will need to be done in time for school to start. So it's a compacted schedule. Measure U team will provide a full update and budget presentation at the January 14th board meeting, and they will discuss the status of all the projects. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Barry, do you want to present, or do you want to wait for the rest of your people?
I was going to wait for Kai.
Okay. All right. Okay. Do we have any public? Oh no, I'm sorry. We'll move on to we'll go on to the single plans for student achievement, and we'll start with Mr. Cornejo presenting on the high school. Welcome.
Good evening. I always look forward to coming to present sort of a state of Carpenter High School, and along with my colleagues at the other schools. So we'll get our PowerPoint ready. Thank you. I always have a backup in case the one on the screen doesn't work. So let me give you a brief description of who we are at Carpenter High School, our demographics. We currently are about 614 students at Carpenter High School. Of those, 70% of them identify as Latino, 22% identify themselves as white, 1.15 as Asian, and about 2.85 other ethnicities. Also, in our demographics, 56% of our students qualify for the economically disadvantaged students, and also 20% are English learners. One interesting thing is that, for example, in our English learner population, when I started at the high school some 14 years ago, that number was in the mid-30s. So it has gone down thanks to the reclassification that has occurred in our elementary schools. As we all know, reclassifying English learners at the secondary level becomes more difficult due to the various obstacles that the students need to overcome in order to be reclassified. Along with the economically disadvantaged, we used to be in the mid-60s some time ago. For some reason, the number continues to drop, but we currently encourage students to fill out the application because there are some benefits to it, such as reduced fees for AP tests and also increased number of opportunities for them to turn in applications for the UC system. So diving into the data, in our English language arts, I'm happy to note that our current senior class, because they were juniors last year, because this test is given only in the 11th grade at the high school level. And it's given to the students in the month of May, literally 2 weeks before school's out, after they've taken all the AP exams, and we give them this test in 2 weeks, in a week. We give them the math, the English, and also last year we gave them the science test. So they should be very proud in the fact that they achieved the district goal of 60%. We're actually at 61% at our goal at Carpentry High School. And I challenge the students because one of the things that we need to recognize is that this test, I try to encourage the students to do well because it has no connection to their grades or anything that happens on campus. We're asking our students to take a test, do their best, and to provide the community with the pride of the high school and showing what the teachers have done for the last year, for the 3 years at the high school, but also a reflection of what the district is all about. So I promised them a barbecue, so I owe them a barbecue here soon. And they all remind me of that. So, I do know that I have to pay up. So 61% of our students met or exceeded the standards. Students are, when you take the test, this is a computer-based test. Students are classified upon completion of the test in 4 categories: those that did not meet, those that nearly met, those that met, and those that exceeded. So we take the exceeded and the met, and that's where we're at 61%. In our math, we're at 44%, and I know everybody says, and we always ask ourselves, how can we increase the test scores for this? I just like to point out, as we also compare ourselves, because we constantly are always comparing ourselves to other people. We compare the car we drive, we compare the house we have. Everybody compares everything, and we compare also our test scores with other schools. And I also want to commend our math department and our students because we happen to have the second highest test scores in the county. So that is something that even though it's at 44%, there's still a significant number of points to achieve the district goal of 50%. But for a high school level, it is very commending to have that test scores due to the fact that this is a test for the 11th grade where the students are being tested in algebra, geometry, and algebra 2, a little bit of stats, and a little bit of pre-calculus. In the old system, students were being tested in the math that they were in. Now they're being given where they should be. So a lot of the students that struggle in the math are still performing well, but we need to work on increasing that number because we want to make sure that our students are successful due to the fact that the City College is using this test along with the grades to place the students at the community college math level along with the English level. Many years ago, there used to be a placement test in order to get into City College. Now the community colleges are using the grades and the class placement, the math placement that they're in order to place them in the proper math or English class at City College. So the action plan is to develop more opportunities for assessments that mimic the CASP. Coaches prepare students or athletes to go onto the field or onto the court by preparing them and practicing, and that is the same thing when we prepare for the CASP. We don't want to take the students to sit in front of the computer for the first time and not knowing how to navigate the computer, navigate the program, how to use the highlight, how to allow the test to read the question to you. So we are wanting to prepare the students to learn the program that is going to be given to them when they take the test. Also, using our morning meetings to identify teaching strategies and calibrate essays and the grading. A in one class should be the same A in another class, and working together with the math department and the English department, calibrating the essays. One of the things that the English language arts teachers have done over the years is that they sit down an entire day and they all grade the essays that the students have written. They will grade from their colleague, and they will try to get the calibration of the grade so that the grades don't vary that much. Use Illuminate, which we bought this year, which was a requirement, one of the suggestions from our WASC visit last year, using a software such as Illuminate to gather data to support professional development and to guide instruction. How are our students doing? How are they performing in the assessments? Is one teacher presenting one concept compared to another, and how can the teachers support each other to make those classes more engaging and to support students to master the concept? Also continue to use extended learning, which is our 7th period at the end of the day, and using CREW, which is our after-school program through the ProDeo Foundation, for additional support for struggling students, using our tutors, using our own staff to provide after-school tutorials, and also how can we take a look at sometimes a student is struggling in math, but their extended learning teacher may be their art teacher, moving that student to the class that they're struggling in. That allows us to do that also in our extended learning. And this year, we are also piloting Reading Plus to support students in reading comprehension, which is one of the areas that in our English language arts was one of the areas where we perform very low, and we need to increase the performance and having our students to basically understand what they're reading. Action plan for math is, again, using morning meetings to share instructional practices. Each teacher teaches differently, but they all can learn from each other, and along with using data from students and also information from students on how they can adapt their teaching strategies to make those lessons engaging, not just lecture-based. So that's something we are continuously working on. Analyze the data during morning meetings. Currently, our morning meetings are divided into 3 categories. One is our staff meeting, the other one is our AHA meeting, and the other one is our department meeting. Out of the 4, 2 are always dedicated to the departments. Sometimes they may end up having 3. And anything that is not finished or completed by the end of the morning meeting, they tend to do so during lunch or after school, but most likely during lunch. We have a very small staff, so therefore there's always collaborative time being associated with our staff at all times. We need to develop assessments to monitor student growth using Illuminate. So when a test is given in Math 1, that same assessment is given across the board, so that when they sit down on morning meetings, they have the same data that they're reviewing, allowing them to then figure out how did you cover the standards, why did your students perform better than mine, or why did mine perform better than yours. It's learning from each other. I'm not an expert in math. My experts are in the classroom teaching my students, and I need to use their knowledge to make sure that they perform, use the performance of our students and from the data, from the assessments, to make sure that they guide the instruction and supporting our students along the way. Continue to use extended learning, like I mentioned, for our language arts action plan, but we're also going to be doing something different this year. Instead of sending 2 or 3 teachers to the math conference that is always in Palm Springs in the month of November, we decided to use that money to contract with the math consultant at the county education office so that they can come do more on one-on-one professional development with our teachers. And it started last year. They came for free, and they met with about 15 students, asking them about their math. What did they think about the math lessons? What did they think about the homework? What did they think about the overall math program? So using that data, and they also interviewed the teachers, and they're going to be presenting that data along with what happens this school year to help us make sure that we can continuously perform better in our math program, and hoping to reach the district goal of 50%. I know we can reach it. We have professionals, we have great teachers, and we have great students. They can do it, and I think that should be our constant goal at Carpinteria High School. These are the goals that the district school board adopted last year as the goals for us, which are the reaching 60% of students at the language arts, 50% in math, increase the LPAC by in 3s and 4s, long-term English learners decreased by 5%. As I mentioned, our students who are currently English language learners are those students, the long-term English learners, and most likely they will continue to be English learners because it becomes more difficult to be reclassified due to the fact that we're using more standards, more benchmarks to allow us to reclassify it, and all of a sudden if a student doesn't do it continuously for 2 years, then we move back again to the process. So that's one of the difficult things. And at least 10% of our English learners will be redesignated as fluent English learners. Last year we were able to reclassify more students than we were in the past, and that's something that, again, it's working with the departments, working with the counselors, that not just because we reclassify them that we let them go, but constantly monitoring their progress to make sure that they're being successful in the classes that they have. How are we going to accomplish this? As I mentioned to you earlier, using CREW as one of the way after school program, but also identify students below grade level and provide early intervention. Currently, we wait for the 6 or the 12-week grading period to identify those students that are struggling. But how can we provide the support when a student comes from the middle school that we can identify through some form of assessments? We currently assess students that come to the high school in their language placement, in Spanish. We assess them in science. We want to be able to assess them also in English. We want to be able to assess them in math so that we can use perhaps the summer to provide some interventions for the students so that they can go into the high school, be successful, because it's the first year at the high school that basically dictates how a student is going to be performing for the next 4 years. Literally the first 12 weeks are very important. If a student does not find that they belong at a high school by the end of October, it's going to be very difficult to bring them back and engage them in wanting to be part of our high school. So it's working with our counseling program, working with our assistant principal and our teachers to identify those students early on to make them feel part of the high school and that they can be successful in whatever they want to accomplish, specifically the academics. Also using the CASP interim assessments, like I mentioned, using programs that mimic the real assessment, and also allowing the teachers to use that data to adjust pacing of their courses. And also develop a placement criteria for ninth graders to assure academic success. And what does that mean? Again, working with the ninth graders, we don't want to be allowing the students to fail a class in ninth grade and then literally catching up during the summer of their between their ninth and then 10th grade when they've already are behind 10 or 15 or 20 units. Is working with them, providing with the credit recovery early on, perhaps changing them from a different math class, perhaps figuring out a way how we can provide them with additional supports after school. But we want to make sure the students, our DNF list continues to drop and to allow our students to feel that they belong in our high school and to be successful in their academics. And also maximize our PLC time, our morning meetings, to analyze student data and monitor student progress. Again, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not a professional in English, I'm not a professional in math, I'm not a professional in art, I'm not a professional in many things. And some people wonder, what am I professional in? But I was a social studies teacher, but the district hires professionals to teach our students. And who best to go to tell me what to do to support our students? The professionals. They're the ones that are teaching our students every day. They're the ones that are asking for certain materials, certain resources, certain professional development opportunities. Those are the teachers that I listen to, those professionals I listen to all the time, because they're the ones that are teaching our students. And if we want to have successful students after high school that have successful test scores, have successful acceptance rates at the community college or at the UC system or the state system, then we need to provide them and listen to them to provide them with the resources that are necessary. The goals for the high school, again, these are your goals, which is to increase parent participation 60%, increase daily attendance to be 85% or higher, reduce by 5% chronic absenteeism, and the suspension to be less than 1%. One thing that we do, and I think our students can attest to this, Mr. Vasquez does a very good job relating to our students, working with them, understanding why there's a behavior issue, and not necessarily suspending the students right away. I always say, you know, I don't get a 4-day weekend, neither should a student be able to do that. We want them to be in the class. We want them to learn. It's very easy to send off a discipline issue and say, come back on Monday or come back on Tuesday, and that does not solve the issue. So we want to make sure that we work with the student, understand what's happening, and what resources we can provide the student to make sure that that does not repeat, whether we refer them to our therapists, STAR therapists, whether they need hospice, grief counseling, whether they need to talk to the counselor, whether we need to adjust their schedule, whether there's something happening at home. Those are all the things that we need to learn to make sure that the students are successful. And to continue to seek parent participation in school programs, events, and advisory committees. Last 2 weeks ago, we had our combined parent support group meeting and our COPLA meeting, and we had almost 40 parents there. So we're hoping to do that more often. But our parents make the high school function. If it wasn't for parents, boosters would not be there. They're the ones that man the concession stand. They're the ones that do the sales for 50-50. They do everything. And we have a very committed group of parents that do that. These are the goals for the high school, which also happen to be the goals for the school district. 90% of our students will report a high level of school connectiveness. Is that the same one? There we go. 100% of our students will graduate from Carpenter High School. A minimum of A3G readiness to be 50%. AP honors and courses will be 50%. Today we send off. The AP system has changed the way the students sign up for AP tests. Now they have to sign up by November 15th. Today we send off a request for almost 200 tests. Yes. So that is a significant number of our students who are taking AP classes. Our CT enrollment will be 50%. Just to let you know, the ag program has literally 1/3 of our student population. So when you combine the agriculture program along with our virtual enterprise, along with our computer graphics, along with our culinary arts, and along with our new program, the engineering, we're well beyond that 50% mark. And students are demonstrating college preparedness at a 75% or higher. We'll be getting that result sometime in mid-December or early January for last year's cohort. So stay tuned for those numbers. How are we going to achieve that? Well, right now, students that take each used to be called vocational education. Now it's called CTE, Career Technical Education. Each of the CTE has a pathway. So we have various pathways at Carpenter High School. So when students complete the pathway, meaning that they've taken the concentrator course and the capstone course, 2 years of it, then they are considered to be career ready. But now, have they taken an AP class? Have they taken a dual enrollment class? Have they taken an honors course? Have they done well on the CAS? And then by meeting certain areas of that matrix, then students can say that they're college and career readiness. So those are the things that we need to look at as now we schedule students into their classes. Are they meeting the matrix that we're being measured, and not just have a student take 1 year of culinary, 1 year of engineering? Now we're asking them to complete the pathway. And most of our students will be able to meet 2 or 3 of those pathways if they start early in the 9th grade. Increase our dual enrollment courses. We have a very good relationship with Santa Barbara City College, identifying our dual enrollment courses. We currently have political science. We have U.S. history. We have a professional development class, which is our 9th grade class. We have a culinary arts class. We have a computer graphics class. And we're always identifying who in our staff can teach a dual enrollment class. The City College has certain requirements, most likely a master's degree in the area that we want that dual enrollment class. So when we are looking for candidates to hire, we're always looking, do they have that master's degree in a specific field that we can then approach City College for that dual enrollment class. And then also conduct our parent and student college workshops during the fall semester. We changed this thanks to the input from parents. We used to do certain parent meetings in the fall and certain parents meetings in the spring. We now do them all in the fall. This last Tuesday, we had our 9th and 10th grade, no, our 10th and 11th grade parent night. Last night, we had our financial aid workshop. So we are taking input from parents now that the colleges are asking us to allow students to enroll or apply for colleges much earlier than they used to be. This month is the deadline for the application for the UC system. So a lot of students are applying, asking for those letters of recommendations. So that's something that it's happening at Carpenter High School. And identify CT students for internship opportunities. Today we took a group of our engineering class. We took them to Rincon Engineering. They saw the opportunities there, and now it's working with the Rincon Engineering and other businesses here in town for summer opportunities for our students. And also increase the credit recovery opportunities for our students using various sources that we have. We have UC Scout, we have Edmentum, we have City College, we have our summer school. How can we help our students not fall behind and then have them be struggling entering their senior year with 10 or 15 or 20 units deficient in any subject. And then we continue to provide a college guidance counselor. We happen to have a UCSB counselor similar to what we had with EAOP. Now they work through MESA. Leslie is doing an awesome job. She's working with our students, getting them ready for the application process at the UC system. And any questions? And before I end, I would like to acknowledge that today we had in the National Letter of Intent Day, we had Dane Wagner sign her letter of intent to play at Northridge for soccer. So
Yep. That's great.
Congratulations. That's really proud.
Thank you.
thank you.
Michelle?
Yeah, I do. So, first of all, thank you so much. I can't imagine anybody else leading the high school. You really inspire us and have such great plans always. So thank you. I also just wanted to say I just commend you guys on using the student voice and developing the math professional development. I don't think I've ever heard that before. And so I love that the students actually got to share their experience and
The
give some
students were very
suggestions.
surprised too.
Yeah. So and it's
Those
probably
random students.
eye-opening. Yeah.
Chose students that were getting A's, were getting F's,
Yeah.
were getting D's, a wide array of students, and they all had that opportunity, almost 15 to 20 minutes each individually to speak to the consultant.
Very, very nice. So I have two questions for you. One is the reclassification goals are a great goal. I think that's going to be an important thing. So what would you like to kind of see happen? What do you envision like your strategies being either at your level, or what would you like to see at the middle school or elementary level to support your reclassification goals?
Reading and writing.
Reading and
That's
writing.
the emphasis.
Okay.
If you can read and you can write, you'll be a successful student and a successful citizen anywhere you go.
Okay, great. And then as we enter our budget season, what do you want us to consider during that season to support your plan?
Continuing to support the rich offerings that we have at Carpenter High School, course offerings, maintaining the current staff that we have. We have a very young staff, very committed staff, very energetic staff, and I think that we finally have come to a point where we have the right staff doing the right stuff.
Okay.
Also, providing our students with the proper counseling services, both academically and mental health, and also identifying professional development opportunities for our teachers to become better teachers, to learn the new teaching strategies, and to also learn the new technologies that are out there to support student learning in the classroom. I mean, we are a one-to-one device at the high school. Every student has a Chromebook, and it's helping the teachers integrate that technology into the daily class lessons.
Just to follow up on that, like how many percentage-wise of teachers do you think could use that extra support and how to use technology?
I think everyone
in the
can
class?
use it,
Okay.
even those that may be experts, by knowing what their colleagues,
How they're using it. Mhm.
how many of them are using it, or the level of comfortness, can allow them to then say, hey, have you tried this app? Have you tried this? I use this in my classroom. It's very interesting to walk into the classroom where the teachers used to just ask sometimes students, who can tell me about this or who can tell me about that, but using perhaps Kahoot as an opportunity for students to have a direct interaction with the teacher with a quick question. It's engaging. It's how to create an engaging learning environment for our students.
Thank you.
Aurelio?
Gerardo, I have known you for I don't know how many years, 20, 30 or so.
Don't go beyond 30.
Okay. And I'm happy that to see you at the high school
Thank you.
every day. And you have done such a wonderful job with all of these students, athletes. And our students are all over the states, from Santa Barbara City College, from Westmont, New York, Boston, Stanford. They're there. And probably they have come back. If not, they will, as lawyers, attorneys. And it's basically the high school is the culmination of grammar school, middle school. It's at the end of the road is the high school. Mm-hmm. Once you graduate, the world is yours. And I thank you so much, and I appreciate what you're doing, the students, and God bless you. Thank you.
The high school is a reflection of the community. We are a great community. We have great staff, both in the office, in the classrooms. We have great students, and we have great parent support, and also great community support. And we should all feel very proud of the high school we have and where we intend to go in the future, because we intend to make the high school an even better place. And that I think all of our teachers, all of our students, and everybody in the community is committed to making sure that happens.
Thank you.
Great. Anything? No? Okay. Do you have anything, Sally?
No.
Okay.
Just to congratulate you.
Thank you.
So this kind of dovetails into what Michelle was asking. What can we do to help? I guess I'm assuming that you're breaking these test scores down by student or by teacher, student, class.
At the high school level, it's very difficult to break them down by teacher.
It is.
Because I have teachers that teach Math 1, I have other teachers that teach Math 2, and so forth. But we all own the test results.
We do, but I think it's important that we identify strategies that are more effective than others.
Correct.
And then how can the board administration help you employ more effective strategies for those students and those instructors that maybe aren't quite there?
I think the professional development, the opportunities for the teachers to see other teachers or their colleagues teach, the opportunity for them to see new curriculum, the opportunity for them to also just reflect on the teaching that they do, having the students voice some of the frustrations that they may have. Math is not easy for everybody. And I constantly remind our math teachers that the reason they're math teachers is because they love math. They may not have the 36 students or the 20 students that are in their class all loving math. So how can we encourage those students to feel successful, that they can actually do it? I think math is one of the few classes or disciplines where you walk in and you doubt yourself. And how can we support our students not to doubt themselves when they walk into a math class? That starts early on. It does not start at the high school. It starts early on in the elementary grades and in kindergarten and so forth. is how can we encourage students to constantly challenge themselves, and when they confront a struggle or an obstacle, not to give up. Our current society has many tools that make it very easy for us to want to solve an issue quickly, but sometimes it takes time, and it takes a significant amount of effort to overcome something. When our students come to the high school, they're pretty much, we have 4 years to get them back on track if they have not been successful in the elementary or the middle school. So the resources that you're providing at the elementary schools, the small classes at the elementary school, will bear fruit at the high school when they get there. But it's providing the teachers with the professional development, the tools, and maintaining my current staff levels at the high school so that I don't end up with 36 students in a math class across the board.
Okay. We'll take that to heart. So also, one of my big pet peeves with instructors is or with anybody really, is people who automatically want to give someone a not passing grade or write them off as not being able to learn. So what are we doing to identify those classes where we have an inordinate number of students receiving D's and F's, and what are we doing to mitigate that or to reduce that?
So I have a great tool now in our ARIES program, which is our data system, called Grade Emulator. So I can click on a class and it will tell me what percentage of the students are getting D's and F's, and then just constantly asking our staff members, hey, what's going on? Why is there 30% of your students getting a D, 10% are getting an F? Is there something? And the response could be as, well, I haven't put in the test we took yesterday, or they have until tomorrow to turn in the late assignments, but constantly asking the students, or the staff, the teacher specifically, hey, what's going on? Mm-hmm. And I can see that it used to take a significant amount of time. I would have to go in individually and count how many D's and F's. Now it's just a click of a button that I can do that. So I can go and say, how many students are failing PE? I would have been one of those students, but then again, that's besides the point. But it's figuring out what can we do with those students. What is it? I've called in students. I've said, I've spoken to the teacher, and they say, tomorrow they have until next week to turn in the late assignments. I will call in those students and say, hey, why haven't you turned in your assignments? Is there something I can do? It's also that personal touch. So like 2 weeks ago, I had about 15 or 20 seniors. I called them in and I said, we're watching. We want to make sure that you pass your classes. And a lot of them don't realize, specifically like today, we have 20 more days left in this semester. So it's going to come by very quickly. And it's constantly keeping that reminder to our students that the first semester is very quick, but also just providing them with the information of, if you're not getting it, you have extended learning, go ask a different teacher. Maybe they can explain it to you differently. We have an after-school program. We have a math teacher that stays in the after-school program. It's providing them with the resources, but now with the Grade Emulator, I can do that much quicker.
Great.
And the counselors can do that too. But our DNF lists, compared to previous years at the 6th and the 12th week, has been reduced significantly.
So I have a question on kind of ties in with math, but because I know whenever we start talking budgets, especially at school board level, everyone's eyes roll back in their head and they really get lost. And I'm wondering how much at the high school level are we teaching economics, finance, things like that, so that people can just understand a simple balance sheet?
So we happen to be the pioneer in financial literacy in our area. Now the neighboring school districts are following us. We used to have what it was called senior math. Mm-hmm. This year is now financial math. It's sort of a consumer math kind of a class, but it's more on how to balance the sheets. What does it mean to take out a credit card? Those are the skills that we are focusing on, and it's also something that is going to be embedded in our new curriculum in economics. So we've been doing it for the last 4 years at the high school, and now the other high schools are catching on. In fact, the state legislature is currently analyzing the the suggestion of making a requirement a financial literacy class for all students before they graduate high school.
That's great.
So,
Very smart.
but that's what it just happened to be voted on about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now it goes to the Senate, and if that happens, then you'll be looking at a financial literacy class requirement for our graduating seniors, not you guys. So,
Maybe they can change that one out for our start times.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Thank you, Gerardo. I think with the information that you've given us, and we should and do know a lot of that information, but if the public has been listening, and with the nonprofit people who are here providing resources for us, I think the community needs to get behind the high school and really promote it, because it is a fine, unknown little place that students are really faring pretty well.
And we want our
thank you
students
for
to
that.
stay in the community. We want our students to
Yes.
be taxpayers in the community. We want our students to raise their families here in Carpinteria, because that's how Carpinteria will continue to be a strong community that currently it is.
Exactly. Thank goodness you're a Carpinterian.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Okay. So we're hold on just a sec, Lisa. We're gonna bring the Rotary Club up, and no.
I have Santa Barbara Bowl Foundation
Santa
and
Barbara, okay,
Rotary.
and Rotary, okay.
You can come on up. Barry and I didn't know that each other were writing grant applications for instruments. Rotary did it for the middle school, and CEF did it as part of Copacabana for the high school. So we have Kai and Karen here from Santa Barbara Bowl, and Barry, and I'll let them present to you.
All right. Welcome.
Well, that's nice. I guess we're here to really thank the Santa Barbara Bowl Foundation. They have really, really stepped up. And I can't thank Kai enough for leading me along the path. But with their help, they have now purchased $54,000 worth of instruments.
Oh my gosh.
And some of those have already been delivered.
That's amazing.
So this is a big boon. And for our Rotary Club, we really want to say a special thank you. A number of years ago, we did a used instrument drive in conjunction with the 50th anniversary of the city. The Bowl was nice enough to provide be a sponsor for refurbishing all of the instruments. So we were able to deliver roughly 60 refurbished instruments. They've also been a very important sponsor to our annual talent showcase, which in turn has been sponsoring the music program here at the school. Now that we have all of these wonderful instruments, it's actually given our club an opportunity to now provide transportation for over 500 students and chaperones. They'll be going to the Granada Theater for a special educational performance put on by the Santa Barbara Symphony. So there's a lot of support for the music, and I hope we all appreciate its value, and we can't thank the support of the Santa Barbara Bowl Foundation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say thanks so much for having us here and for your continued support of music and arts in the schools. My name, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Kai Tepper. I'm the Outreach Program Manager, and here with me tonight is Karen Kearns. She's the Vice Chair of our board. And over the past couple years, we've had the wonderful pleasure of really strengthening our relationship and partnership with the Carpinteria schools. In addition to our instrument fund, which repairs and purchases instruments. We've been able to provide additional support for sheet music and subsidized tickets for some of the students. And also indirectly by supporting Children's Creative Project, we've also been able to get into elementary schools and provide performing arts education for elementary schools as well. So in this year so far to date, and it could be increasing, we've been able to provide Carpinteria Unified Schools with a total of $54,000 in instruments and a couple thousands more in other areas. This comes on in follow-up to 2018 being able to support Carpinteria with $35,000 from our benefit shows after the Thomas Fire incident. So thank you for your continued support of arts in the schools.
Yeah, thank you. Why don't you come up here and we'll have a photo.
Sure.
Yeah.
We're going to get a photograph?
Yeah, right here. I can't tell you how excited we were to write this big check.
You're so welcome.
Hi. Hey, Kai.
I think we worked together for several months.
That's right. Yes.
Okay.
So I heard sheet music.
Kids are going to go far.
It is incredible.
It's a lot of money.
So I'd just like to really thank the Bowl and Rotary for your continued support in Carpinteria. I know it's gone a long way to extending our music program and providing instruments for those students who maybe wouldn't be able to afford or we wouldn't be able to provide it to. So and it has actually, we're seeing the dividends because our music programs at the elementary and the high school the attendance and the enrollment has increased. So a lot of that is due to your support, and we really hope to continue this partnership and watch our music programs flourish. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Being able to work with Carpinteria Education Foundation and the Rotary Club, you have such a special network of community partners who really believe in the same thing. So
We do. We have a great town.
we're happy
Yeah.
to be part of it too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
for having us.
Okay, now we'll move on, and we have Ms. Lachey here with the presentation of the middle school.
Oh, thanks. Good evening, board members. I'm grateful to have this opportunity to share a snapshot of Carpinteria Middle School from last year and to share our actions for moving forward for improvement. So currently, as of yesterday, we have 487 students enrolled, 79% Hispanic or Latino, 18% white, non-Hispanic, 28% English learners, and 67% socioeconomically disadvantaged. So we'll start out with our results from English Language Arts. Our grade 6 students, we had overall 43.3% of our students met or exceeded standards. This was an increase of 5.6%. For grade 7, 38.9% met or exceeded standards. This was our only main area where we showed a decrease. We do have new staffing in that position, and we're anticipating a turnaround with that this coming year. Grade 8 for English Language Arts, 47.2% of our students met or exceeded standards, and this was an increase of 3%. For math, we saw increases overall, grades 6 through 8. In grade 6, we saw a 4.1% increase, but this is the grade that we're really looking to improve this year. I'll share our actions momentarily. In the 7th grade, 42.3% of our students met or exceeded standards. That was an increase of over 10%. And then in 8th grade, 41.7% met or exceeded standard, which was an increase of over 1%. Our English learners, our subgroups are going to see as I share this data that this is where our work needs to be done. In grade 6, only 2.2% met or exceeded. Grade 7, 4.7%. And grade 8, 2.4%. And those were all decreases. So we're really working with our English learners this year. So in math, there was no change for our English learners for math in grade 6, but again, it's an unacceptable percentage. Grade 7 was quite an increase. So 13.9% of our grade 7 students met or exceeded standards. And 8th grade, we had a decrease of 5.9%. So we'll be working on that this year for math. Our LPAC results. So these are the students that are still considered English learners. A bright spot here, we just reclassified over 20 students that are no longer considered English learners. But last year, all grades, 64% scored a 3 or 4. In grade 6, it was 51%. Grade 7, 68%, and grade 8, 77% scored a 3 or 4. So 4 being well-developed, 3 being moderately developed. So our economically disadvantaged in English language arts, 34.6% of our grade 6 students met or exceeded standards. That was a slight increase. Again, the grade 7 English language arts overall, we showed a decrease there. And the same here with our economically disadvantaged. And then grade 8, we showed an increase of 2.3% with 39.8% of our students meeting or exceeding standard. And then in math, again, increases overall with our economically disadvantaged students. This sort of mirrors our overall data due to the fact that such a large percentage of our students are economically disadvantaged. So in grade 6, there was an increase of just over 0.5%. Grade 7, an increase of 8%. With 33.6% of students meeting or exceeding standards. And then grade 8, 31.5% meeting or exceeding standards, which was an increase of 2.4%. And then special education. This was mixed a little bit with English language arts. In grade 6, we saw a decrease of where we didn't have any of our grade 6 students meeting standard from special education. Grade 7, we saw an increase of over 4% with 11.8% meeting or exceeding standard. And 8th grade, 22.2%, which was an increase of 5.5%. And then in math, again, with 6th grade, we did not have our special education students in 6th grade meet or exceed standard. In grade 7, 11.8% met or exceeded, which was an increase of over 4%. And then in grade 8, 22.2% met or exceeded, which was a decrease of over 9%. So again, our special populations, our English learners in special education, though we showed increases overall, that's where we need to focus our actions. So our first district goal, high quality standards-based instruction provided to and differentiated for every student. So similar to what Gerardo shared for the high school, we want 60% of students to meet or exceed standards in English language arts, 50% in math, And then for our special populations that we just looked at, the English learners, special education, and economically disadvantaged, we want those to increase by at least 5%. So how we will do that. Our actions for literacy growth, with an emphasis on literacy, we're going to use Wicker strategies. That's an AVID strategy standing for writing, inquiry, collaboration, organizing, and reading. Close reading strategies, annotating, and active reading in all classes. Utilize our CASP interim assessments, also the block assessments, and Illuminate to monitor student progress. Differentiate instruction for all students. Support and monitor the 3 levels of ELD, and support classes for our EL populations. Plus level English language arts classes are offered to meet the needs of students in grades 7 through 8. So the plus classes are our advanced students for English language arts. Co-teaching in English language art to support special education students and general education students. So Ms. Gala and Ms. Flores are both teaching a class. Some of our moderate to severe students are in those general education classes doing things like Skyping with students across the world. And, so one of our students with Down syndrome will be the one holding up, the answer to their question. And so it's just a really great way to involve those students. And use our professional learning time, collaboration time to analyze and monitor student progress, discuss best practices, and plan interventions. And for math, differentiate instruction to meet the needs of all students. Our technology is really important there. Our Dreambox students can use that to improve their skills. Our teachers are also recording their lessons on the computer so students can go back and watch the lesson again, or they can go ahead. Math Plus, again, those are the accelerated students. We offer those classes for targeted support. We use technology tools to reteach lessons and for lots of quiz review and overall student engagement. We use our PLC time, the collaboration time, on Wednesday afternoon, again, to analyze data, monitor student progress, discuss best practices, and plan interventions. So our teachers are using a lot of Google Forms this year, and so students are able to get immediate feedback on their assessments. Teachers are able to create within the assessment an explanation of why they missed the problem. So that right there is like an intervention, teaching the students immediately. And then teachers are able to share their data between classes about where the students struggled. And then increase the use of technology tools in grade 6 to engage and challenge students. We had a really, as you saw, the math scores in 7 and 8. Last year, we really had our teachers in grade 7 and 8 using technology in really meaningful ways. So grade 6 is really coming along with that this year. The LCAP goal number 2, all students actively engaged in learning and participate in a positive school culture in partnership with parents. So one of our metrics is for some of our metrics are for the California Healthy Kids Survey. 95% of students will report high levels of school connectedness, academic motivation, and high expectations with meaningful participation. And 95% of students, staff, and parents report that CMS is a safe and respectful place. So from our results last year, the first area you can see from students is for school connectedness. So 88% reported school connectedness, and 88% reported feeling safe. With staff, that was only 76%, and with parents, 77%. And I feel that Carpinteria Middle School, with a lot of the Measure U updates, for example, being buzzed in the front door, having the whole campus locked and secured, I feel it's a very safe place to be. And so we are hoping for much higher results on that this year. So our actions for school climate improvements, advisory classes for all students that have a social emotional curriculum to provide a sense of community, strengthen our PBIS strategies. As you guys were throughout the school, you could see that we were reminding students of the expectations in all areas of school. Recognize students with positive behavioral referrals. So our teachers, we award them, we have a drawing every staff meeting, and teachers that have turned in positive behavioral referrals, we do a drawing for a Starbucks gift card through my parent support group money. We utilize anti-bullying videos and education through our media tech. Continued AHA training for teachers to support teachers in managing and supporting students. For the month of October, it's anti-bullying month. Our counselors use morning announcements to teach kindness. We provide therapeutic counseling with START therapists and our new youth service counselor. And we have a low counselor to student ratio, which is 1 to 120. And so our students are getting more of that support that they need this year. And counselors meet with each student to assess needs. So the counselors have face-to-face time. They're called the minute meetings with every student. And the counselors reported that typically when they do that, and I believe I shared this last time I was here, that the numbers are pretty low on a scale of 1 to 10. The students are ranking middle school about a 4 out of 5. And this year, almost all students said 7 or higher. So a lot of one 6th grader ranked it as an 11. So counselors meet with each student. I already said that one. And advisory assemblies to celebrate behavior in academics. So this is something that had been done in the past, and we just brought it back this year. So I don't know if you saw the CARP Scholar shirts. We gave those to students who had a 3.5 or above last semester. The last assembly, we recognized one of our school expectations of be respectful, and students were acknowledged by teachers for that expectation. Our 8th grade UCSB Fuse Night, we had an amazing turnout. Parents as well as students had a lot of fun. They learned a lot about light, about mixing different chemicals together, and it's just a really great night of student participation. And so our goal number 3, facilities are updated, well-maintained, and safe for all students and staff. So one of our a few of our metrics are 95% or higher rate of student, staff, and parents will report feeling safe, and 95% will report clean and well-maintained facilities. So here we go. Those are the new classrooms, which I think look really great. I know our parents at Back to School night, some of you were there, with the lighting at night. They looked, I thought, really nice. The site safety team meets regularly to address school safety issues and collaborates with the district safety team. Custodial staff maintains a clean campus and advises administration of any safety concerns, which are then addressed. And then many of our Measure U projects, such as the Gen 7 classrooms and the track, are complete. So we're celebrating that. And there we have it. So, questions?
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was a very good report. Michelle.
Yes. Hi. So again, I think I've said this to you before, but I really appreciate that you include school climate and social emotional learning on the same kind of level as language arts and math, especially for this age group, because there's just a lot going on for those middle school students.
Definitely.
So I'm glad that that's really highlighted. During our board tours a few weeks ago, I noticed kids are really on their Chromebooks a lot, like in every single class. And so with kind of language development happening best through like explicit practice and conversation, how can you see teachers kind of shifting to include more student conversation in class.
Right. Well, if you talk to our ELD 1 teacher, she has one section. Our 8th grade English language arts teacher is Meredith Parton, but she's also teaching our ELD 1. And I think it's a little bit of teacher guilt whenever you do put your students on the computer, even though they do, it's research-based programs. So for them, it's the Lexia program. You know, they do benefit from that in the way the programs are designed. We just got a United Way grant for Reading Plus, and I've been observing that in some of our special education classrooms, and it just, you know, it sort of highlights the text as students read along, so it helps them with their fluency, but also guides them through, you know, some different comprehension things. So, but also, you're right, just the one-on-one communication, the inquiry, that's still very much alive in our English language or our ELD classes, and they're very, very structured.
And kind of staying on that ELD kind of topic, what could you see the elementary schools doing more to help support you with your ELD students when they get to your school?
That's a great question. I think kind of what Gerardo said about just the reading and writing, making sure that they're really strong readers, really strong writers, and strong communicators.
Okay. And my final question, of course, is during budget season, what do you want us to keep in mind for your school and your plan?
So again, sort of similar to what Gerardo shared, our current staffing, I would like to continue with that. Professional development is always welcome. You know, we have a really strong PBIS system at our school. However, teachers individually, a lot of times based on their subject, have different needs or things that they want to focus on. Some of our teachers are really into the responsive classroom, and that's been really helpful. But again, our science teachers may need more specific science, or math teachers, math training. So professional development is really important. And then, you know, those darn computers just need to be replaced, you know, every now and then. So it's just keeping, and we also we're not like the high school to where we have a one-to-one situation. So I'm still wanting for some of our classrooms, such as science, to, you know, get more computers. Right now, some of them are sharing carts that are incomplete and that sort of thing. So, and then special education, they really need those to support students in our SAI, specialized academic instruction, English, and then also math. And then also the students that are in those classes for academic support, when they have the computers, they can access their Google Classroom, they can do assignments through there, watch their math teachers' videos again, those sorts of things. So, technology.
Okay. Great, thanks. Really, do you have any questions?
Yes. One question that I have is that to ask you, how long will it take you or to improve test scores? Roughly speaking, 2 years.
I think, you know, you did see a lot of increases there. The only overall area in math and English that didn't go up was 7th grade English language arts, and that was sort of an unusual situation last year. And it's very much a focus of our teachers. We're using the Illuminate software. Students are being exposed to SBAC-like questions all the time, not only in their assessments, but in, you know, their daily classwork, and just the problems that teachers are exposing to them in the classroom. So I'm very hopeful, and I believe it'll be next year. You'll see us at least at or above the state average, or I guess I should say at our goals, the district goals. So 50% for math and 60% for English language arts.
Yeah, because
that's my hope.
The way I see it is that it won't happen overnight.
Correct.
But it will it can eventually happen in little by little.
Already have some of our English language arts that are performing at 60% or above. So I believe we'll get there.
So think that this is what we are seeing in the States, around the world. A lot of technology used in the classrooms. I think that the teacher-student interaction shouldn't be forgotten. That actually talking to a student, talking to an instructor, that stays in your mind. Not for a day, could stay for years.
So I couldn't agree with you more. And an example I'll share of sort of a beautiful blend of that is in Janelle Ellis. She's our 8th grade math teacher. She does record her lessons, and she does what she'll do is, rather than standing at the front of the room and teaching the lesson, she'll project herself, her voice. You can see herself on the TV screen while she's doing the lesson and writing down the problems. And what that's doing is it's freeing her up. Not only can students go back later on their own time and watch that recorded lesson, but it's freeing her up to go individually and work with students throughout the classroom on a one-to-one basis and make those connections.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
I wrote the word blackboard.
Hopefully we won't be replaced.
Correct.
With
Thank
technology.
You. Thank you.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Sally?
Lisa, I just want to compliment you on the fact that you are working so hard to change the culture at the middle school. Not only for the fact that when you walk in there now, all that wonderful art that's being displayed everywhere.
Isn't it wonderful?
It is. And I hope that you can continue working with the students and the teachers to meet your goals.
Right. And I think it's amazing what laying really clear expectations down will do for a school culture. But again, I always have to remind my staff, my campus supervisors, my custodial staff, they're middle school students. So, you know, we always have to remind them of what we expect of them. So.
Great. Well, I really appreciate the fact that you're out there every morning greeting the students. I think that but just by itself goes 1,000 miles to improving the culture there.
Yeah, I agree also that it helps set the tone.
Everything. It just sets the tone for the day, which then improves the behavior, right from the outset. Even if a kid's coming to school grumpy or having a bad morning, getting greeted by an engaging, happy adult, really, even with other adults, it makes a huge difference. So
right.
I really hats off on that.
Well, thanks.
So again, I have a question similar to the ones I had for Gerardo, and I think we're having you'll have an easier time breaking out your test scores by grade and instructor, correct?
Right.
Because it seems that when we were reviewing this kind of the gross test scores a meeting ago or 2 meetings ago, that there seems to be something happening in the 6th grade, primarily with math, but also a little bit with English language arts. If you compare the 5th graders coming in from 18-19 or the 17-18 with the 6th graders from last year, and I'm wondering if we've been able to identify where we're struggling a little bit, and if have you been able to develop a strategy yet, or are you working on that?
Well, yesterday I was present for quite a bit of while in the math PLC time and the English language arts PLC time. And what I communicated to them, and I'm pleased with how they're checking on it. What are the common assessments we're given when we get these results? I don't want to be surprised that one situation with English language arts grade 6, one teacher with the lower scores did have the co-teaching class. So those students are large percentage of special education students, and there's some things like that. However, I was really encouraged to see, they are giving the common assessments. They are looking at their student results. They're comparing those. So I think with the sixth grade, what I'm seeing in sixth grade math classes this year with the use of technology is just, it's so much better. The students are much more engaged this year, whether it's learning the lesson itself and using technology for the computer review, using technology to develop some sort of product, a slides presentation to show that they've learned it, that sort of thing. I'm just thinking student engagement is really improving in grade 6. But again, the teachers are also given those common assessments. The common assessments are from Illuminate, which are SBAC-like questions. So the students are really, I believe that the teachers are making a lot of changes, but also doing everything they can to improve those scores, especially in grade 6.
Okay, so again, it kind of goes along with what Michelle was saying in how I'm wondering, since we're having pretty good scores in the 5th grade coming in, if there's some collaboration or cross collaboration with the 5th grade and the 6th grade teachers, maybe during our PLD time.
Right.
I don't know. Have we thought about doing that so that maybe just having the 5th grade teachers kind of give a heads up on this is the strategies that work with these particular students or this particular class, and this is what doesn't work. And because a lot of them, a lot of those elementary teachers have been with those students for multiple.
Right.
I've been around them more, and I'm just wondering if that might be something to identify, or some
so the
strategy
whole
employ.
vertical articulation, we do that some towards the end of the year. So we'll meet over at Aliso.
Yeah, so it'll be the end of the year.
We'll have the family school and Catalino teachers and Summerlin teachers come over as well. And the 6th grade teachers will sit down and talk about those things. But I'm wondering if we should make that more targeted as far as like strategies that are working and those sorts of things. So we'll definitely consider that.
Okay, and then I'm just wondering, are we incorporating? Because I was looking at the English language development or English language arts. Are we incorporating some of that curriculum in the social studies programs so that we're getting that crossover like they're doing at the elementary level? That every subject is kind of touching on parts of the other subjects.
Yeah, and yesterday we were at the curriculum meeting, and Meredith was joking with John Fowler. She's our English teacher, and he's the history teacher in grade 8, that she actually did the reading for, I don't know, do you remember what battle it was? But they do a lot of, I've also seen them do it in the science curriculum, because one of the things with the readers and in doing the close reading strategies, you don't just want to read fiction to the students. You want to read, some nonfiction text. And so the English language arts teachers will read science content and heavy content and dissect it and go through it. So there is that cross-curricular planning.
Yeah, I just have noticed that some of the social studies work almost seems like it could be a lot more effective, a lot richer, rather than coloring maps or highlighting text.
Right.
It might be more something that engages the student more and gets them. It seems like that there's some improvement that can be made there.
Right, and I think if you look at Ancient Civ for grade 6, those students do a lot of projects, a lot of hands-on. They do a lot of Socratic seminars.
They've got some really good. They engage their students really, really well. And then in 7th grade, it seems like that there's some, there's a lot of crossover in the 6th grade English language and social studies.
Right.
But then at the 7th grade level, and if you look at the test results, they kind of flatline there.
Observation,
and,
right?
And I'm wondering if maybe the 7th grade and 8th grade social studies department could maybe create some more engaging things, or collaborate with the English language the English department,
Right.
to get the students more
Right.
engaged.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent idea.
Yeah.
I know it's happening in grades 6 and 8. And I know Allie Taylor in grade 7, she's teaching the plus class in English language arts, and she agreed to do that if we would make it as a course, so that she taught global studies to those same students. So I can guarantee you she's doing a lot of that.
Okay.
She
Great.
has the same students for
Yeah.
history and
Yeah.
English.
Well, it's almost like your 6th grade core used to be. Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lisa.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You guys can clap. All right. All right. We have Michelle Fox here with a presentation on Elisa.
Yay,
Welcome.
thank you.
Oh, just California Distinguished School.
Well, we have to apply for it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's exciting. I'm really excited about that. So thank you for the opportunity to present Elisa's progress based on our CASP scores from 2019, and then to also look at what we have planned for this year. To start out, this is our demographics. You can see that at Elisa we have a population of 362 students, and on the right-hand side you can see the breakdown by classes or grade levels. Within those classes we have about 84% of our students are Hispanic, 13% are white, 0.5% are Asian, 0.3% are Filipino, about 1% are Black, and then we have about a little over 1% are multi-ethnic. Below that, you'll see that out of those 362 students, 72% of those are economically disadvantaged. We have 14% of our students are students with disabilities, and 58% of our students are considered English language learners. And over the past few years, these numbers have remained fairly constant as far as the percentage of economically disadvantaged, disability, and English learners. Moving on, this is a graph of our overall score for 3rd through 5th grade. At this time in ELA, 52% of our students have met or exceeded grade level standards. Our goal is 60%, so you can see we're edging closer. We're still a ways away from 60%, but I'm happy in the progress that we're making is upward. The next few slides, I've broken them down by grade level so that you can see where students are scoring within the grade level. In 3rd grade in English language arts, we had 109. I'm looking at this, and this. We had 52% scoring at or above in 3rd grade, and 48% scoring below. So we're working towards our goal. Moving on to 4th grade. 4th grade. You can see that 40% of our students are scoring met or above grade level, little lower than last year. So we're working on that. That's one of our goals, is to bring that back up. In 5th grade, we're really excited about this growth. Our goal is 60%, and we have 57% of our students scoring at or above grade level in English language arts. So that's a great achievement for our 5th grade teachers. They worked really hard in English language arts, and we're really proud of the work that they did in English language arts. The next slide, I've broken it out by disability status, economic status, and then our English language proficiency. And our biggest challenge continues to be closing the achievement gap. We've been working on that, and we're making small gains, but it's still, you can see the discrepancy when you look at these graphs, that students with disabilities compared with students that do not have reported disabilities is 24% meeting compared to 56% meeting. So we're really working on that with our special education teachers and collaborating with special education and general ed to support those students in the classroom. When we look at our economic status, we've increased the gap 10% since third grade, but there's still a noticeable difference between those that are economically disadvantaged and those that are not, 49% compared to 63%. One of our biggest strengths is working with our students who are reclassified. You'll see that 79% of our students who are reclassified are scoring at or above grade level, and that even surpasses our English only. So that's a real celebration. So we're really proud of what's going on there. So this slide is similar to the one that you saw for English Language Arts. This is our overall math score, and we surpassed the district's goals of 50%, so we're very, very happy about that. We are continuing to work on that and keep moving forward with it, and so applause to all of our teachers that have made this goal possible. When you look at this is great. 65% of our students in third grade met or exceeded grade level standards on the CASP. Only 35%, which was 17 students, were below grade level on that. In fourth grade, 52% of our students are scoring at or above. And then in fifth grade, 53% of our students are scoring at or above. So these are great. We're moving ahead, and we're really proud of the work that they're doing, and we're just going to continue moving forward. Again, our challenge continues to be closing the achievement gap. You'll see that 52% compared to 70% of our students with disabilities are not meeting grade level. Are meeting grade level compared to 70 that are. So we are continuing to work on math too with our English, with our special ed teachers and our general ed teachers. The gap between our economically disadvantaged and our not economically disadvantaged is 49% compared to 62%, excuse me. And again, in language, English language proficiency, 79% of our students, our RFEP students, are scoring median standards. So that's exciting. We're really excited about that. All righty. So these goals have been mentioned a couple times. I can go over again, or I can just scoop by them. Okay. So goal 1. So based on the LCAP goal, ELISO's goal will be to increase overall student achievement by 10% in the English language arts and math to meet or exceed district expected outcomes. So it's a high goal, but I think that if we keep working the way we are, we will be able to meet that goal. And we hope to do that. So our TK through 5, 5th grade teachers participate in our early release Wednesdays and meet as PLCs every Wednesday to discuss student achievement. They look at test scores, they talk about strategies, and they use that time to collaborate. So that's another way we're going to continue to help meet those goals. We have a Tier 2 based reading intervention program for our kindergarten through 3rd grade. So that's our reading intervention teacher. This year we're beginning our universal dyslexia screening in K and 1st grade. Is that the TV or is that outside?
No, it's the bus
it's
parking
bus, okay.
outside.
So we're starting our universal dyslexia screening for K and 1st grade, and that's the first year that we're going to do that. We're trying to get a jump start and be preventative and look at where our students are so that we can intervene early and provide those students with some some early intervention and our teachers with strategies on how to meet those needs with students that show dyslexic type characteristics. We're continuing with after-school math tutoring. We adopted the Wonders program last year, so this is our second year for our standards-based English language arts program. Teachers are becoming more familiar with that. They're getting into the materials deeper and finding some nuances and being able to use the program in a deeper way because they're more comfortable with it and getting to know it better. So I see continued success in English language arts. Let's see. We have a Tier 1 and 2 technology-based intervention programs. We use Lexia. We have ScootPad, so students have access to different language arts and math support through technology. We have a learning support team that meets once a week to discuss student progress, and that's made up of our reading interventions teacher, our school counselor, and our SPED team. And we spend an hour and a half each week talking about student needs and really looking into how we can support teachers and students that are struggling. We're continuing ongoing professional development. Today, in fact, we just had Dr. Rosie Busio here at Aliso, and she was there to talk about behavior and brains and how neurology and all that kind of fun stuff that goes into the behavior with kids, and that was very well received by the teachers, and we're going to be continuing to do more with that, really looking at trauma-based learning. And then we're working with teacher peer observation and support. My reading specialist teacher is working closely with the K-3 staff and supporting them with strategies and techniques on how to really bring out those early reading skills. And then I am in classrooms all the time and providing support to teachers, and so that's one way that we're also going to continue. So for goal 2, Aliso Elementary will build a positive school culture by increasing student engagement in school activities, improving school climate, and increasing parental involvement. So we are looking for ways to extend learning opportunities for our students in after-school curricular clubs, activities, more field trips, providing them leadership opportunities, and participating in academic competitions. We're providing professional development opportunities to teachers and staff on mental health issues and in reading, the area of reading. We're using our social emotional curriculum, second step, in TK through 5th grade. This is our second year of using digital citizenship curriculum. We're providing support for teachers, staff, and parents so that we can start to develop more opportunities for families to come together and participate in parent activities such as code night, STEAM night, math night, etc. We're working closely with the ELAC and then the Parents for Aliso, and to provide more family-centered activities. Last month, our PFA hosted our Trunk or Treat, which was very well received, and it was just for families to come together. And then our ELAC hosted a Dia de los Muertos, where parents brought potluck, and we showed a movie, and it was just a nice way for parents and families to come together. And then we're at full implementation of our FLES by Literacy program in K and 1st grade. And in Goal 3, Aliso Elementary will provide access to college and career readiness curriculum and opportunities. So we're continuing to provide technology to support the needs of our 21st century classrooms. We're offering students opportunities to learn about college and career. Our 5th graders go to UCSB to meet there and see the campus and then participate in some science activities. So we're hoping to continue that this year. And continue to supply ongoing access to our TK through 5th grade students to participate in STEAM learning. And this year, we're providing Project Lead the Way training, and we're going to be moving more towards that in the upcoming years. And then ongoing professional learning for teachers and staff in the California State Standards, ELA, math, NGSS, technology, and then our social emotional learning. And
great. Thank you.
Great job.
Nice presentation. Michelle.
I have lots of questions
Okay.
because elementary's my space. So so first of all, congratulations on the Distinguished School nomination. Well deserved. Your scores are impressive with the really significant, improvements. So whatever you're doing, it's working, I guess. So I had a question about the universal dyslexia screening. When will you know those results?
So we're not going to. We're going to do those right before we go on winter break. So Jennifer Clark is my reading specialist, and so we're going to start doing that then, and then plan for working with those students and planning interventions when we come back.
Okay, I'd love those results sometime in the spring if you got them. And then with the universal kind of goal of reclassification happening by 5th grade, and then CMS just reported that still they have about 28% English language learners. What is your current rate for Elisa for reclassification?
I don't know the percentage offhand, but we just reclassified about 25 students.
Okay, is that higher than usual, or is it? Are you
Since
trending
I've been there,
up?
it's been steadily increasing. It's about.
Okay.
I think we did about 25 last year. My first year, we didn't have that many, and then the last 2 years, it's been in the 20s.
Okay, great. And kind of along those same lines, you mentioned the FLES biliteracy in KN1, but the goal is to continue that as that cohort goes up
so
the
that's
grades,
where we
right?
are this year. So next year we'll have that in 2nd grade. So it could be BK. It's actually TK because Mary Lewandowski is using it in her TK class too.
Okay. And then what currently are you doing for articulation with your preschools that are feeding into Elisa?
So currently we're not doing a lot, but I did reach out to
Maria.
Jamie and to Maria Chelsea, wondering if we've ever done anything like a vertical articulation with all the preschool entities, and how we could manage that. So it's out there in our thought process. We just haven't figured out how to do that yet, but it would be very beneficial.
First Five is offering to help facilitate that, just so you know.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, we'll be doing that. And then the big question, what do you want us to consider during budget
So
season?
for budget, it follows pretty much what Gerardo and Lisa were saying. I really appreciate, and I've seen great improvement with our small class sizes. So really being able to keep that going, and then we're seeing that the trauma-based learning is really coming into play at Aliso and probably throughout the country. And so really maintaining our counseling services and providing a lot of support in that area. Our intervention with reading is crucial, so just continuing that's very important. And then also professional, I don't know, if I have 3, I can go
No,
on
you
maybe
can
to
give
4.
me a mo.
Professional development in that area of trauma-based learning, and then those specialties that teachers might want or need.
Thank you.
All right. Rogelio, you have any questions?
Yes, first of all, thank you. Congratulations. Great scores, especially the 56 overall math score for 2019.
Yeah.
That's great. And you mentioned small classes. How many students are we talking about?
So Diana's done a really great job of helping us keep the kindergarten class sizes to 20 or less, and so that is so important. It's really allowed the teachers to work with small groups and really address those individual needs of the students. So I'm lucky. We're very fortunate that we have that in kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade. So and 3rd grade this year too. So they're all very small.
Okay, you also mentioned about the English language proficiency. English only 64%, English learner 28%, and reclassified students 79%. Why is that?
I don't know. You were kind of saying some things today. Those students that are the 28%, those are the ones that haven't reclassified, and so our top students are being reclassified, so that's why their scores are going up. I can't tell you exactly what the science is or what the research is behind the difference in them surpassing the English only. I just think that they're really strong students. They're learning in 2 languages, and they're just very strong learners.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right. Congratulations, Michelle.
Thanks.
It's clear with these numbers that you're really working hard on the education at Aliso. I know what you do at Summerland, and so it's just fantastic to see these numbers that you're almost meeting our standards or exceeding them. Can you quickly just explain to me what trauma-based learning is?
So I'm learning more about it now. I've noticed a change in our students our incoming kindergarten, and we used to have 1 or 2 students that would be emotionally dysregulated and struggle with school, but now I'm seeing that more and more students are coming in that way. Some of them qualify for special ed and some don't. And so just, when I first started, I thought it was just 1 or 2 students, but now it's becoming a pattern. And so, and it's not just here. I've done a little bit of research, and it's nationwide, and you might be able to speak to that more. But so just working with students on these students that have these early issues and ACEs that they come in and it's hard for them to learn. It could be poverty, it could be homelessness, it could be
family dysfunction.
Pardon?
Family dysfunction.
Yeah, immigration issues, all those things that disrupt their learning when they're so young in that early 0 to 5, and it causes them to not be able to access the curriculum as easily. They struggle with some emotional issues that give them challenges.
More early intervention.
Yeah. And it continues. So if we can start addressing it early, and then that way we're not struggling with it as much as when they get up to the 4th and 5th grade. So it's really looking at it and being preventive.
And then lastly, what ideas do you have moving the 5th graders into the middle school? We were talking about getting you guys together more. Do you have any ideas or strategies that you think should be in place?
As soon as I don't remember which one of you said something about the vertical articulation with 5th and 6th. I'm like, oh yeah, why haven't we done more of that? Because I was thinking more of those incoming to Elisa, not those leaving. So really working closely with Jamie and Lisa to figure out how we can make that transition easier and just have those conversations. I think that vertical articulation is very important at all transition levels.
Seems like it'd be helpful between the elementary to the middle and then to the high school also.
Yeah,
so.
definitely.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know you've had some sudden staff changes this summer, so keep up the good work with working with all of that group.
Yeah, we have, it's been fun to work with the incoming teachers and kind of learn. They have new strategies and things that I'm learning from them and vice versa, so it's been fun.
Minor questions similar to what they've been already. Have you broken these scores down by class and instructor?
Yes.
You have.
And so early on, beginning of the year, each teacher got a breakdown of their scores, where they scored, but also we looked at the claims and the targets. Or those are the very minute parts of those questions that go into making the question and the score, so that they could kind of zero in as where their strengths were. We've been talking during our staff meetings and during their PLCs, really having focused conversations on what makes a good reader, how do you know that they're learning, what are you looking for, and then we'll be pulling in our Illuminate data and really analyzing how that looks. But yeah, all the teachers have their scores and have access to it on Illuminate.
Okay, so how can the board and administration help those instructors who are where there's room for improvement?
So I'm a big proponent of professional development. The the release time for the PLCs is crucial for us to be able to communicate and collaborate. So continuing to have that early release time, providing professional development in those areas of need. It could be usually people coming in and working with us for ongoing instead of just hit and miss type of professional development, but ongoing type of learning that we can just
coaching.
continue.
So is staff open to that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
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 Okay, good. That's good to hear. So the trauma-based learning that you're referring to, are you collaborating then with Maria at the Children's
Yes,
Project with her ACEs? Because I know that the ACEs, the Adverse Childhood Experience score or rating, has been a big part of their emphasis for the last few years.
So, like I said, it's just come to me. I mean, I'm just starting to notice it. So my research into it, my exploration to it is very new. I've started looking at a couple of books. We had Dr. Bucio come today and talk about that. She gave me some information. We're going to bring more of that professional development into our staff. So it's really in our beginning stages of that.
Okay, great. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Great job. Thank you, Michelle.
All right. Welcome,
Thank
Mrs.
you.
Pursoon. And we'll hear about Canalino now. And
Yes.
just Canalino.
Just Canalino today.
Canalino.
Thank you. Good evening. I just actually came here from Family Math Night. So Family Math Night's wrapping up over there at the campus for both schools. The first slide is a picture of a lot of people. That's not everybody, because that would be a violation of the fire code. But we have 600 students and 90 staff members at Canalino. We have the dual language immersion program that's through the 2nd grade, so we have 6 classrooms now. And then we have 3 moderate to severe special education programs. And then, of course, the 3 family school programs, 3 classrooms, the multi-age classrooms, which is not included in today's data. But this was an assembly of the Paraguayan dancers that actually went to Aliso before they came to us. We're trying to bring in a lot of multicultural events that are relevant to the DLI program that also are important for the non-DLI students. So everything we do is shared. There's not a separation between the different programs or schools. So that's just how we run the show now. It's been very successful. So when looking at these graphs, you want to see more blue and green, because those are met or exceeded standard. And you don't want to see the red and as much red in the yellow. So you can see just by looking at that overall for English language arts, we had a real bright spot in 3rd grade. 3rd grade is leading the way there. And the 4th grade was fairly dismal, with 21% meeting and exceeding standard overall. And 5th grade was at 42%. 3rd grade, 49%. So one thing to note is that the entire 4th and 5th grade team is no longer teaching. They retired or moved on to a different thing. So we have 7 new teachers at Canalino. It's a lot of teachers to coach, but I'm ready and excited about it. So in 4th and 5th, you have almost an entirely new team. And then 3rd grade is the same teachers. So it's really a great opportunity for us to shape and form the program that we want to have. Our veteran teachers were much beloved, but they were not as accustomed to the way that we teach math and language arts, and so we're starting with a whole clean slate. In mathematics, the 3rd grade, the green and the yellow together is 54% proficient. So they met and exceeded the goal in 3rd grade, 54% proficient. Only 30% in 4th grade and 28% in 5th grade. So I'll tell you that we have 2 out of the 3 3rd grade teachers that were the highest scoring teachers in the between Aliso and elementary in any grade. Those 2 teachers were the highest scoring teachers in the district for their scores in both language arts and math. So they are models for us, and I'm using them that way. So you just asked that question to Michelle, Andy, about what can we do to support the teachers who need additional support or need help with student achievement. I've been releasing teachers to go watch someone like Christy Guerrero teach. and then she will go watch them and help me with the coaching piece. So there's 32 teachers on the campus. So I'm roping in Christy Guerrero to help me teach teachers how to do it. So I don't necessarily feel like we need to bring in a lot of outside experts. We have people who know how to do it, and we just need to have everybody else have the opportunity to learn from them. And so we feel like we're at a really pivotal moment with 7 new teachers to shape their instruction from the very beginning. This next slide is putting the economically disadvantaged versus the not economically disadvantaged together, side by side. So economically disadvantaged students qualify for free and reduced lunch. And while that's not a surprising statistic that you see how much how many more students are proficient that are not economically disadvantaged, it's quite shocking actually. In the economically disadvantaged in 3rd grade, 39% met and exceeded, and the ones that don't qualify for free and reduced lunch, 73% meet and exceeded. So almost twice the number of students are meeting and exceeding standard in 3rd grade. For 4th grade, it's 24%, and then double that for the non-economically disadvantaged at 53%. So again, double the numbers. And then in 5th grade, it's 35% met and exceeded. And for the not economically disadvantaged, 57%. So pretty much across the board, they're twice as likely to be meeting and exceeding standard if they are not economically disadvantaged. And again, that's not terribly surprising to any of you because you know that trend, but it's something we need to be looking at and addressing. So mathematics, you'll see, is pretty much the same trend, but I would like to point out that really huge band on 3rd grade for not economically disadvantaged of students who are meeting and exceeding standards in mathematics. But also 3rd grade, the economically disadvantaged was at 41%. So that was pretty good for 3rd grade. So overall, the big point is economic disadvantage is affecting achievement, and so that's something that we need to be addressing through places like the Carpinteria Children's Project, and we do a number of referrals for our families over to that program. I did the same thing with English learners, so you can look at those two graphs next to each other, and you can see that English learners are more challenged to achieve in English language arts than fluent English proficient or English only. The one thing that it's important to note is that grade 3, you see 38% of English learners are meeting or exceeding standards, and that goes way down to 11% by 4th grade. And the reason for that is, and then 9% for 5th grade. By 4th and 5th grade, you're pulling out your strongest students that are being redesignated. And our redesignation numbers, anticipating your question, Michelle, went way up this year. So we had over 30 students we were redesignating. And very interestingly, 6 students in 1st grade in dual language immersion that were redesignated as English language, English proficient, which was interesting to me because we don't actually teach in English. But we do teach 10% in the 1st year and 20% in the 2nd year. But it's an interesting statistic that's never happened to have 6 1st graders redesignated, but it is a comment on the dual language immersion program, and also the family support I think that those students receive is really helping with that. And
are those just out of curiosity, are those families Spanish speaking, or they're not bilingual?
There was
parents?
One was her native language is Chinese.
Okay.
And the rest of them were all Spanish speaking. Yeah.
Oh.
Isn't that interesting?
It is.
So I'm really excited to look at the scores in the next few years with our dual language immersion cohort that's coming into 3rd grade next year, because we're really excited about that. So I think I've made the point about fluent English proficient versus English learner. The same can be said for 3rd grade. For mathematics for both cohorts of kids. And then I looked at some of the areas that we test on the California assessment. And if you would look at those numbers up there, you can see that if the reading, if you look at 3rd grade, above standard, so that's both met and exceeded, 25%, and then grade 4, 14%, and grade 5, 15%. So third grade really stands out for the instruction in that grade, and this level of skill that those two teachers have in third grade are really helping their students. And it's really important to note that all of our classes are balanced, so those two third grade teachers didn't have a gate cluster or a high group, or that's not how we do it. So it's really all about the instruction and the skill of the teacher. Writing was across the board not strong, in my opinion. We should have a lot more students above, meeting and exceeding standard in writing. So it certainly helps us. And we've been talking about this at the Curriculum Council. Michelle and I and Diana mostly comes to those meetings as well with our grade level chairs about how do we utilize our new programs, Wonders in K3 and Ready Gen in 4-5, with outside resources like Step Up to Writing to provide a really structured, organized way to teach students to write. And writing is very challenging for our English language learners, and that's kind of the final step in integrating all your linguistic skills is writing, but it's an interesting thing to me to see that that's an area of struggle for all the grades. And then listening. We actually had a discussion about this today at the leadership meeting. Listening is they listen to a passage on their headphones, but there's no visual to refer to, and then they're asked questions after the passage, and I think they can only listen to it twice. Am I correct, Michelle? I think it's twice. I think that's right. They can listen to it twice, and then they have to answer the questions. But look at the achievement is not very impressive on their listening skills. So we had a very interesting discussion about technology and swiping through things quickly and the ability to attend to something and remember it without a visual, because almost everything that they're attending to now has a visual, and it's very quick. It's not a long-term thing.
I can attest to that personally.
So we'll be looking at some of those sample questions and working on, I think, Diana, you referred to it as educational perseverance or grit, being able to stick through something that lasts more than 5 to 10 seconds and then attend to it.
That all grit is now 5 seconds?
That's about it. Research and inquiry, we did have a little bit stronger numbers in research and inquiry. How well can students find and present information about a topic? And I know this is really in our language arts programs is very emphasized in all the lessons, and cite your sources and your evidence. Those kinds of questions are coming up a lot, and we're doing a lot of teaching about that. In math, I'd like you to look at the grade 3 concepts and procedures numbers. So 43.59% were above standard. And if you compare that to 18 in 4th grade and 15 in 5th grade. So they're just knocking it out of the park down there in 3rd grade. And one of the things that they're doing, and this was also Christy's leadership, is those two teachers are doing the number talks before their lessons, where they're really having they're really modeling metacognition, and then students are modeling it for each other in their discussions. So they're really she's really teaching, both of them are really teaching students how to think through concepts and procedures. How do I multiply? So I just left family math night, and with the first graders, one of them was 5 plus 4, and a little first grader said, well, I know 5 plus 4 is 9 because 4 plus 4 is 8, and you just have to add one more. It's thinking like that the number talks is modeling for the students. So 3rd grade, again, is really strong in the math areas versus the 4th and 5th grades. So the conclusions are, as I've already said, 3rd grade students scored well above the 4th and 5th grade cohorts, and 2 out of the 3 3rd grade classes scored very well. So Andy, to your question to Michelle, yes, the teachers are aware of how they did, not only how they did, but how they did in comparison to their peers, because we do need to learn from each other and be really clear about what's working and what's not working. It's not a secret. This is a public school, and really learning from those of us, those teachers who are really, getting it right, and how do we continue to make sure everybody has access to that knowledge and that practice. For the 4th grade, that was last year's 4th grade, so they're currently in 5th grade. So in that 4th grade cohort, there were 13 students with IEPs, and 9 in the 5th grade and 7 in the 3rd grade. So we do have a number of students at Catalina with IEPs. I think among about 80-something students with IEPs, and that's both moderate to severe and mild moderate. And so that being said, in Mrs. Guerrero's class, she had 8 students in her third grade class who had IEPs, and she had 72% of them that were proficient in math, including the students with IEPs. So we can't just discount students with IEPs as not being able to make, meet or exceed standard. It's about the instruction and the support that the student is given and the expectation that the student is held to. So this is an example of Christy's class in a number talk. They turn and talk after she gives the initial prompt, and they turn and talk to each other. So you're really engaging all the students' attention. They're all talking to each other. They're accountable for participating and thinking and sharing their thinking, and then they'll turn back around and they'll share their thinking, and she'll cite their reasoning on the whiteboard, and they'll agree or disagree. It's a whole procedure that they go through. So she does that every day, and that's now happening in all the 3, 4, 5 classrooms because that's what she's modeled for them. I just wanted to give some examples of the types of questions that are on the math test. Sorry?
We were just saying, that's pretty impressive for third grade.
So that's a 5th grade question.
Huh? Oh,
that's
fifth.
a 5th grade question.
Okay. Well, still.
Number 12?
Yeah, so I just wanted to give, just for the public's knowledge, what this test looks like. And I put it on Parent Score all the time. Any parent, any community member can go on and take a practice test in any grade level and in any subject, both the performance task and the adaptive task. So it's not, so this is actually a multiple choice question. You actually don't see a lot of these. There's only a few multiple choice questions. These guys probably took it last year because they take it in 11th grade. Isn't this your 11th grade cohort? You guys did well as a group, really well. So this is another question. They give the table with the cost per package. And then,
Can you tell us the answers?
Pardon?
You're not going to tell us the answers?
No.
They're going to tell you. They're going to play tonight. Because they did so well.
No, to get the signature, they have to have all these answers correct.
Oh, there you go.
They did really well, so they've already got it all solved.
Yeah, this class has got it. This particular group has got it. So you can see the level of complexity we're asking from kids. It's not a multiple choice, solve the problem and color in the dot. It's higher level thinking and communicating reasoning. It demands a certain amount of comprehension and English language proficiency and figuring out what exactly I'm supposed to do. So there's some things that the reason I put these up there is to indicate that it has a lot of implications for instruction. So we don't just teach the math, we teach the whole process. And so that's a change that, say, a 30-year teacher, it's a hard thing for them to change in terms of their instruction. But the new teachers coming in, they're like moldable clay, and we can really teach them some of these strategies for instruction and help the students. These ones are really fun with the volume and adding the A and the B, and then adding it in cubic centimeters. These are the ones that are a little bit. This is where you need to push past the 5-second grit, because there's a part A and a part B, and they have to decide how many books can fit, and the response needs to be entered in like a sentence, not just a number. So just for the public's knowledge, and it's really important for parents, I think, to really see these tests or the example questions so they know what their students are being asked to do, to what they need to know and be able to do. And it really, that number sense is the basic skill that they need to have. So the goal number 1 for both the district and the school sites, proficiency in language arts at 60%. So accelerated reader goals for grades 2 through 5, and we present awards at an awards assembly. And I think you've heard about the STAR reading test, but it gives a grade level equivalency. It's a computer adaptive test, and they're giving them monthly, which is new this year. And at my direction, they are to send the STAR reading reports home to parents of students not yet at grade level every month. So not at conference time 3 times a year, because that's a little bit too late to intervene, but every month. And then I wrote letters to parents, for teachers to give to parents of students who are not yet at grade level on STAR reading and on the FACTS-wise math scores as well. So parents are being notified pretty frequently about where their student is, and we are asking parents to take ownership over fact fluency and 20 to 30 minutes a night reading. Basically, I explained in the letter that we will not have the time to go back and remediate on things that should have been mastered in first grade, and they're going to need to help us out and do that at home. We are using the ReadyGen assessments, which have a very similar format to the CASP. And then last year we started the 30 minutes of designated English language development, grades K through 5. And we saw a huge increase in our redesignation numbers after doing the 30 minutes of DLD. I think we redesignated 9 students the previous year, and we're above 30 this year. So 26 third graders last year were redesignated. And then, of course, we have reading intervention K5. And it's really exciting because we have one of our reading intervention teachers, Lisa Nakasone, is bilingual. So she's kind of morphed into becoming the DLI reading intervention, and then she does the English-only second grade. And then we just hired Stephanie Acuna this last week. She replaced Vi White, who left to Georgia, I think. And so we are doing English-only and dual language immersion. That came up a lot when we were talking about implementing dual language immersion, or how we're going to provide intervention, things like that. And we have been able to do that with Lisa's level of skill. That's an ELD group. One of the group meets in the library. So this is what I put on the letters that went home about star reading for parents. And it shows because a lot of times when parents, the teacher says read 20 to 30 minutes at home, the parents think, okay, we don't have any homework because they don't have to turn it in, or they don't think they're accountable for that. So if you look on the left, that if student A reads 20 minutes a day, they're reading 3,600 minutes per school year, or 1,800,000 words per year, and those students will score in the 90th percentile on standardized tests. If you go all the way to the right, student C will read 1 minute per day, 180 minutes per school year, 8,000 words per year, and they will score in the lowest 10th percentile on standardized tests. So it really is very impactful if people read with their children. Oral reading aloud from K3 is really important. So I'm trying to help parents understand why we say that. It doesn't mean free pass, but it really should become a ritual in your home. So the second goal, part of that first goal, is 50% proficiency in mathematics. And I've already talked about how I'm really using Christy's expertise. Christy was a TOSA for us in this district for 2 years, a teacher on special assignment for mathematics. And then she was a math professional development leader at the Santa Barbara County Education Office for 2 years. So she has a wealth of knowledge that we're really fortunate to have in our district. And then we use the Wednesday collaboration to share student assessments and collaborate around instructional strategies to address student needs. I'm the 5th grade chair, and Michelle's the 5th grade chair at Aliso, because our 5th grade team is literally entirely new. So I am actually leading all of that, and I'm going into the 5th grade classrooms and reteaching for students who are demonstrating on their assessments that they didn't understand certain things. So that's fun for me because I used to teach 5th grade, and I get to go back in and teach math and do all of that. Today we started our the Number Ninjas, and then we also have the STEM Club, and they're both the School Site Council allocated those funds from Title I. They're taught by Christy teaches one, Carolyn Haynes teaches one, Kathleen Tomsha's teaching one. So we're really focusing on the fact fluency, but we're also making it engaging, because I don't think a second grader wants to hang out at school for another hour to work on fact fluency. So we build that around the coding and robotics and make it really engaging and fun. Oops. So all students actively engage in learning and participate in a positive school culture in partnership with parents. So this slide, I really have to give a shout out to the school-based counselor that we have, Shanna Hargett, who really operates, as Diana and I were talking about, really operates like a vice principal. She's outstanding. She doesn't just serve students with school counseling needs. She does that too. But she really, I would say, is a leader of the school culture all around. Student engagement and student leadership. So she facilitates student council. They have speeches, elections at the very beginning, posters, that kind of thing. They meet every other week. She sends out notes not only to all the teachers and all the students, but she posts them on Parent Square, so all parents are aware of what's happening in Student Council. She also facilitates play leaders every day, 4th and 5th grade students that go out and help at the younger grade recess with their vests, and they learn how to, resolve conflicts between 5-year-olds and help somebody find someone to play with, or, figure out who was doing a baby or a Hardy in Foursquare. And then they have Salad Bar Ambassadors, the Buddy Program, and then Club Kind. So there's a lot of things that Shanna is leading to really build positive school culture. And we do have an enormously active parent group at the campus from both Catalino and Carpinteria Family School that are working closer and closer together as 2 parent groups. For example, the new garden that we'll be installing with the help of Reed and the grounds crew is a collaboration between both parent groups to implement that garden. So in school, also with school culture, there's morning meetings in every classroom, so that's really exciting. Structured activities at recess. So tomorrow is the final day of the soccer tournament, the last 2 weeks, and then we had a tetherball tournament start on Tuesday. We've had a basketball tournament there. If the students come up and say, can we have a whatever, I tell them to go to their student council rep in their classroom, and then the student council the rep takes it to the meeting, and the kids decide what's the next tournament and how that's going to work. So that's really building in student leadership. Second step social and emotional curriculum that all of our elementary schools are using, and that's really helpful. And then we have the monthly awards assemblies. And we do honor students who have met reading and math goals, but we also honor students who have demonstrated a growth mindset. So they may not be the top reader in the class, but they maybe in their, from 1 month to the next, they made a 4 or 5 month growth in their reading level. So really honoring that growth in addition to the highest achievers. And then our Catalina's facilities will be safe, clean, and well-maintained. We're really excited. We are under construction right now. Well, we're not excited about the construction. We're excited about what's going to happen after the construction. But it's really going very smoothly. We're under construction in Wing 4. And really grateful to the new 5th grade teachers who are teaching without interruption with all the noise. And they're, Measure U is doing everything they can to do the really noisiest stuff before and after school. And then we will go under construction on Wing 1 in February. So we'll be under construction for the full school year, and we're really excited about the new facilities. And then now the principals are now supervising the custodians, which is really helpful to be able to really direct, and I get to meet with them every 2 weeks. They come and we meet and we do a walk through the campus, and we talk about the problem spots. And, what are the priorities and what do they need to be successful and what tools do they need. And then I work with Maureen to make sure they have everything that they need to get the job done. So it's working much better to be under the principal's management. And the same, by the way, goes for the special education instructional assistants. I have 18 in special education instructional assistants to manage all the health and safety needs that we have on the campus with students with moderate to severe disabilities. And having the principal or the on-site person be the supervisor is much more efficient, and I can intervene when needed or provide the coaching or direction when needed. So it does make for a lot of evaluations and a lot of people to supervise, but it also makes for a more efficient and well-run campus. And then we do have student-led initiatives through Student Council on trash pickup and taking pride in the campus. Any questions?
Thank you very much. That was a great report.
Yeah, okay. So just commended, of course, on always your innovation and your use of data in your continuous improvement process. I mean, you always look at data, and I really love that. And then you hold people accountable to data, and you ask why. So I really appreciate that. This is, I don't even know if we know the answer to this, but do you think that since like the 3rd grade students or the younger students kind of entered their academic career with Common Core kind of already in place, they have a little advantage?
We're in year 5 of Bridges implementation.
Okay. Yeah.
So I do think we're starting to see students with more skill with, you know, the 10 frames and how to, you know, all the ways to make 10 and just the way that we're
Right.
teaching now.
Yeah.
So I do think that has something to do with it. But if that were the case across the board, all 3 teachers would have scored much higher. So and the 3rd teacher scored much, much lower. So I think that it really has to do with the quality of instruction.
Got it. Okay, that's good. And then in previous years, we had math TOSAs like Christy and Clancy, right? So have you seen some of that effort like sustained, or did it decline kind of after we abandoned that strategy? And because now you're coaching,
Right.
And yeah, we don't have like designated math
Right.
coaches.
Well, I think models like what we used before with a TOSA, if because that was really those people were working pretty much solely with teachers and not necessarily with administrators.
Yeah.
And so, because I was a teacher for part of that time, I did get some of that coaching, and I think that's why it's so important to have principals who have been teachers. And principals, like all of our principals in Carpenter Unified, are very present in classrooms and really well versed in instruction. So, you know, if I could go back to that era when we were having TOSAs, I was just thinking about the Science Matters initiative the other day, too, when we did all of that and invested, you know, the Wharton Foundation and Janet Sands, and they put a lot of money into that. We need to invest in more, instead of individual people, more the system, you know, so like administrators and people like that are going to maybe have more longevity and be able to implement more systematically than just classroom by classroom.
Good point. And then the magic budget questions.
Oh,
What do
I
you want
have
us-
an answer for you.
Okay, I knew you would.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to thank Diana's vision, as Michelle did. I have seen an incredible increase in data for proficiency in kindergarten standards from the full day K. That was a really huge move, and it's really paying off for kids. So that's really exciting. And then the small class size. So that having instructional assistant support to provide that small group, and that's really in K1 in terms of the staffing we have for instructional assistants, which also, by the way, allows for the ELD. So the instructional assistants are the key to allowing the ELD, because I couldn't do the ELD, neither of us could the way that we do it now, without them. The small class size, the full day K, and then the early intervention in reading. So we start that in kindergarten, and it's extremely apparent. And, you know, when Maria gets us the data at the end of this week on the KSEP, it'll be very apparent who's working with the reading intervention teacher. And this year, because of facilities challenges, we were not able to do the United Way pre-K program. So we are starting it in January at both Aliso and Catalino, and using our teachers after school with kindergartners. So we are utilizing that resource. But that we're going to be at the point where that money's going to allow probably 3 to 4 students to work with a certificated teacher an hour a day, twice a week, for the whole rest of the year. So that's going to be huge for those kindergartners. And then I'd say, you know, I agree with Michelle on a lot of the social and emotional challenges have really risen as one of our, you know, biggest feats that we have to attack. And our school-based counselor, and it's not just her really, but she leads the whole tiered system of social and emotional support. I sent Diana a couple weeks ago a copy of they meet every Wednesday, with Shanna, and then our START counselor, and then our psychologist. And we have a full-time psychologist this year, which is like an incredible blessing for us. They meet weekly, and then I get the notes. And so every week I can track kid by kid who's in what, you know, who's seeing them, where are the parents on it, where is the referral to CCP, to all these other organizations. And it's just a really organized, systematic way of providing that social and emotional support, not just for kids, but we need to be looking at the families. So I think the school-based counselor. So if I were to say the 3 top budget things for me, or for Catalino and Carpenter Family School: counselor, reading intervention, small class size.
Thank you.
William.
Yes. And it's true what you said. I wrote it down when you said economically disadvantaged students and English learners, they're affecting the achievement gap. But the question that I have is, for how long? Okay, the test scores are down, right?
It really depends on the grade level you're looking
Correct.
at in the classroom.
Yeah. Let's say beyond third grade. Now, the dual language goal is precisely to improve academic achievement. And I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Lisa. How long will it take you to improve the test scores? Is it a matter of a year, 2 years?
That's a challenging question to ask because each cohort looks so different. But I would say that the goal of the dual language immersion is by 5th grade, so 3 years from now, that we would have 100% of those English learners that went into dual language immersion would be redesignated as fluent English proficient, and 100% of those learners would meet and exceed standards in both English language arts and math. So for that particular group, dual language immersion, I would say 3 years.
3 years. Okay.
I would say that any student could meet and exceed standard if they had the right instruction. So that could be next year. If I had 9 Christy Guerreros teaching in my school, everybody would be at we would be at 75-25.
But there's only one.
I mean, it's all about the teacher's skill.
Correct. Yeah, because I mentioned talking about third grade. They're all great.
Well, 2 out of 3 are great.
Yes, but those okay, everything is good on third grade. Then those same students on 4th grade, they tend to go down and 5th. So, but yeah, it has to be the teachers. But just like you said, you're working on it. You're hiring new teachers, and
yes. And they're all bilingual.
And
that doesn't mean they're all going to teach in dual language immersion, but it certainly helps with parent communication and cultural relevancy and students being able to see themselves in professionals that are teaching them. So I think our policy, or it's not a policy, but our practice of hiring bilingual teachers is really going to pay off beyond the dual language immersion program.
Yeah, actually, I was as I was watching the news last night on Channel 9, the United States is recruiting teachers from Mexico. It just happened last night because there's most of them actually they have to be bilingual, and there's a shortage.
The governor it was the state superintendent of public instruction that announced last year by 2030 he would like 30% of all schools in California to be dual language immersion. So that has a real implication for staffing.
Yeah, that's very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Quick question. You mentioned a couple times about having your fresh blood teachers in there and that you can mold them.
Yes.
But what do you do with the teachers that aren't so fresh? How are you accommodating with them? What are you doing to...
A great question. So I think that the structure that we put in place once Diana got here with the Wednesday collaboration early release time is for that purpose, to really bring along people who are very dedicated to the job, care very much about children, but need a change in their practice. And so they need to learn from their peers in order to be able to do that. So that's the structure that we have for the collaboration.
Just good job, Jamie. Keep at it.
Thank you.
So I only have a couple just observations. So it's great you've identified your strong support network at the school. How do you utilize them without leaning on them too hard so that they feel overwhelmed by the pressure?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So the secret
Or
to
how can we help you not
Yeah.
lean on them so hard?
Well, like for example, Christy ran Family Math Night tonight. She kind of organized it, and I was in charge of the bingo game, so I didn't have to do the full. She had the vision for Family Math Night, so we're get a supplemental work request form and really building in that leadership for her. And then our grade level chair system, how we have the curriculum council, and really we compensate people for their leadership in that way. So the other thing is when there's always these comparisons between carpentry and salary without considering benefits, which is frustrating. But part of why people stay where they're working is because of the work environment, and really taking care of your people and really valuing them is incredibly important, and having a very positive work culture, and feeling supported by your administrator, your district office, your school board is all going to contribute to people wanting to contribute and be part of. I had so many teachers tonight that are there at 6 to 7:30 tonight after a long day running Family Math Night, and to me that what that translates into is people care about their kids, they're eager to support families. So it's the exception, not the rule, when somebody is unwilling to do things like that. So just keeping people supported is really important. So if a teacher is, I really need X to make this work. Like one of them needed several colors of masking tape. The other day somebody was about to do a lesson for the bridges, and they needed 4 pounds of dried kidney beans for their measurement lesson. So I just got in my car and went down and used the Cal card to go get the kidney beans. So just making sure that you make it easier so that they can focus on instruction. And, the office staff, the DO, we're all there just to support the instruction. And they don't have to get up 10 minutes earlier through their, traffic drive to go get the 4 pounds of kidney beans. It's just those little things that you do all the time to make sure that people can focus on teaching kids and they feel like, okay, I've got people behind me. Today in the math club, she was expecting 20 kids to show up, and she had 40 kids show up for the after school math club. So we got a text in the office, I need someone to come grab the packet because I don't have enough. So just all those things, they sound like really little things, but you add them all up and it makes someone feel like they're supported to be a leader.
So that's great. And I think one of the struggles that we've had as a district in the past few years is a lot of our stars get recruited in to other districts that can either pay them more or are closer to home. And I think the supporting the having a real nurturing environment to work in it goes a long way towards that. Mm-hmm. I'm also curious. The teachers the instructors that are receiving the coaching, mm-hmm. are they open to that?
Oh yeah, new teachers.
Well, new teachers, but how about teachers that aren't so new?
I would say for the most part.
Yeah. Okay. So that's an area of growth?
Yes. Well, just in a couple of spots.
All right. Okay. I think that's it for me. So thank you, Jamie.
Yes, thank you.
Nice
Thank you
report.
very much. Super.
I think we'll take a little break and sign some sheets so you guys can go home and do all your homework.
Yes. But before everyone goes, I'd like the principals to stand up, because I have to tell you that's probably the best report in my many decades of working with an administrative team. I am so proud to be on your leadership team. And the students and families here are so well served in Carpinteria. You are definitely the A team. Thank you so much. That was wonderful.
So we'll take a little break and we'll sign your sheets, guys, so you can go home. And then we'll continue. So we'll take a break for about 5 minutes, Mark. Welcome back. So we're on to E, or there's no public comment, so we'll move on to E, board policies. And E1 is board policy of administrative regulation 6145.6, international exchange, second reading. Can I get a motion there?
Move to approve.
Second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item E2 is board policy 6179, supplemental instruction, second reading.
I move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, item E3 is board bylaw 9321, closed session, second reading.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
E4 is board policy AR 4116, probationary permanent status, first reading.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
E5 board policy AR 5141.26, tuberculosis testing, first reading.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Was this just for staff?
No, this is for students.
Students.
Okay.
Yeah, this is for students. And the laws have changed, so that's
Okay.
why we
Okay.
updated.
All right.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, move on to F, educational services. So now we get to vote to approve the plans that we were just presented with. So can I get a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, move on to business operations facility and warrants. Asked to approve warrants from October 17th through the 7th of November. Can I get a motion?
I move to approve the warrants.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Yes, I have a comment. Basically, it's the same issue, page 1 and page 3. Page 1, legal fees 9,000, and page 3, legal services 15,000. So that's equivalent to 24,000. Again, let's keep an eye on these legal fees. They might hunt you down the road. Thank you.
Yes, those are directly related to employee discipline cases,
Yeah.
and we're required to have legal assistance in those cases.
Yeah.
So we have two cases that we're working with.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, move on to gifts, grants, and donations. First grant we were presented with tonight already is a gift from CEF for $60,313 from the proceeds of Copacabana. Can I get a motion?
I move to approve that. And thank you, public, for attending that function.
Yeah, second.
It was fun.
Yeah, thank you, Carpinteria. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, item G2B, also we were presented this evening, and it sounds like this may increase, but the Santa Barbara Bowl Foundation has donated $26,818 to our instrument fund.
These are not.
Can I get a motion to approve?
I move
Is
to
there-
approve this donation and thank the Santa Barbara Bowl.
Is there an amended amount for that?
So I did ask Pam about it, and what she said is the Rory money is paid directly to Nick Rail Music for repairs and other expenses, and the district receives this amount. The rest is to.
Okay. All right, second.
Okay, great. Second? All right. Any discussion?
Who second? I'm sorry.
I second.
Michelle did.
Thank you.
Well, again, thank you to the bowl. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Item G2C is a donation from CEF by way of the Bauer Foundation to the district in the amount of $25,000.
Second.
I get a motion?
I move to approve that.
I move to approve.
To approve, all right.
Rogelio, second.
Rogelio seconded that.
Second.
I didn't hear you. All right. Well, thanks to the Bauer Foundation.
Yeah.
Again, we have great support in this community. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item G2D is a donation from Laura Lopez to the Future Farmers of America in memory of Grace Young.
Move to approve.
I second that motion.
Thank you, Laura. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item G2E is a donation from Summerlin Beautiful to Summerlin Elementary School.
I'll move to approve that.
Second.
All right. Thank you to Summerlin Beautiful. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item G2F is a donation from the Rotary Club of Carpinteria to the music program in the amount of $2,303.
Move to approve.
Second that.
Thanks to the Rotary Club again. All in
Thank-
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item G3 is, this is, should this be? It's not Measure U, okay. Item G3 is approval of contract with Kruger Benson Zimmer Architects for Technology and Engineering Lab application. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, item G4, we're being asked to approve the disposal of or surplus of furniture and equipment. I'm assuming that's from the wood shop, old wood shop at the high school.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Can I get a motion to approve that?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Did I miss H? Oh, H right there. Okay. It's at the very bottom of the page. Move on to Measure U. And H1 is approval of a contract with Kruger Benson Zimmer Architects for courtyard landscape design at the middle school.
Move to approve.
Second.
So we're paying $55,000 just for designing this.
Mm-hmm.
Architectural fees are high.
Apparently.
They're generally
And which courtyard is this?
Probably the one between between the cafeteria and the multi-purpose room.
Yeah. So it includes site visits, meetings, planting and irrigation design, construction documents, assistance with the bidding phase, assistance with the construction administration.
Mm.
And they also have a landscape architect that works with them from Earthform Design.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item H2 is approval of a contract with KBZ Architects for CEQA assistance at Summerlin School.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
H3 is a proposal from K1, KI, for classroom furniture at Catalina Elementary School Phase 2. Can I get a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Second.
All right, and that amount $71,851.37. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, H4 is approval of contracts with Flowers and Associates for civil engineering services at Summerlin, Catalina, Aliso High School, and Rincon.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item H5 is a contract with KBZ Architects for furniture selection and order coordination for classrooms, libraries, and offices at the high school and Aliso.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, move on to I, personnel summary. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay, we've changed the agenda a little bit, so we're going to just have board announcements. So if does anybody have anything they want to announce for the coming 2-week period? All right. So nothing for the calendar? We do.
I just would like to remind you, Monday, November 18, at 5:30, the SEALS program is going to have the open house at Main School.
Okay.
And they're going to be at the portables in the back. And then the CMS Spotlight Club is having their play at the Alcazar Theater on November 19 at 6:30.
Okay, great. Thanks, Monica.
The Spotlight Club for CMS.
Okay.
Is that the Alcazar?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Great.